All right, let's dive right in. Let's build an HMI for that. So we need to go over to add new device, double click in the project tree right here, and then this time we go on HMI. And for those of you that are still using the V14, probably a basic, for everyone that uses V15, the V15 comes on board with the WinCC Advanced Comfort. The V14 free version, like the test version, only comes with the WinCC Basic. So I will create something in the WinCC Basic world so that everyone can actually create it. The same thing here. Let's go for a big one though, 12 inches here, 12-inch display. And we go for the KTP, that's Key Touch Panel 1200 Basic. And we are going for, let's see, which one is it? Profinet USB, blah blah blah. Let's go for the second one. And then say create. So in the next step, we actually have to connect it to a PLC. But because we're doing like changes on the hardware, in my case, like because I'm still like right after I recorded the last video, I still have my my simulation running. So I switch off the simulation, yes, and then I open up this one, say I connect it to PLC 1, this is this here, check, and then I say finish. Still creating, takes a while, I'm so sorry. Alright, so now we have created our HMI, and you can find that here on the left hand side in your project tree. Of course I have a fault here now because I'm still online on that non-existent PLC sim, so that's taken care of. Now, let's get rid of the split screen. What happens is it automatically opens your root screen up, and your root screen is basically your main page from your HMI. Let's fit that to the screen, and that actually looks like the touch panel would look later physically. So it opened that up. You are able to modify everything that is within this white rectangle. Everything that is outside just showcases how that that HMI looks in real life. So, and I don't want to go too much into detail with how to create multiple pages and how to switch pages and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to give you a basic idea of how to set up and showcase some data from your PLC. So let's dive right into that. We actually want to showcase the time that we are counting with our S7 graph or whatever else language FBs, and stored in the time data block, global data block. Oops. So if you click on the time data and then you go down here, it says details view. You open that up, then you can actually see whatever you click on here, what is contained, what kind of data is contained in there, right? So if if you click on time data, you can actually see the times here. If you click that drop down, you can see seconds, minutes, hours, and days. So how do I actually get to show those numbers on the HMI? Well, it's very simple. You just drag and drop them over there, especially when you want to just showcase data. In that case, you just take the seconds, pull them over and drop them, and it will automatically create an output for that type of data for you. And then you can actually go ahead and do the design of it, because like right now how it looks, it's pretty generic. It shows you 5 digits plus or minus sign, positive, negative in front of that, and we actually want to get rid of that because with seconds, minutes, hours, we only have 2 digits, and we don't have negative hours or seconds, so we also want to get rid of that plus sign. Also, with the days, there's only 365 days a year, so we will only showcase 3 digits, and we also don't have negative days. So for that reason, let's dive into that. Let's first pull over the other things, the minutes, the hours, and the days, and then let's go into designing that. We will close that just to have like more space here, and then we go into properties down here. And so right now we're on the days. Please switch that to like property pages because it's easier to understand. So now we have highlighted that piece of data, that's our days, and then we go into general, and then you can see here process, the tag. It automatically created a tag based on the PLC tag name. So I just exchanged the periods with underscores and connected it to the correct PLC tag, in our case time data times days. So if you go on that right side of the general list here, page, I'm sorry, then you can see display format. It's a decimal number, that is correct. Decimal places, we have 0 because we only show whole numbers, and then we don't have any leading zeros. So if you click on that, it would have leading zeros, whatever. Like if we have 5 digits like we have right now, it would be like, if we have 3 days, it would be like 00003. We don't want that. We don't want any leading zeros, so we get rid of that checkbox. And then the format pattern, we want it to be 2 digits, but we don't want to have plus or minus sign. So we are looking for the plain digits without the S in front of it. So we say 2, right? Oh, that's, sorry, it's days, so we want 3 actually. So we click 3, all right? So that would be okay, and now we're going away from that, and then we can actually go and like adjust that for the size. So now we go back on properties, and a little trick here: if you have multiple objects that you do want to modify in the same way, you just like open up whatever property page you want, and then you can click from object to object, and it will lead you to the very same property page for that other object, so we don't have to like click around like crazy. So in that case, everything looks fine. The only thing we want to change is we want to change the digits, and in that case we're going for 2 digits because this is ours, right? So, and then we click on the next one, change it to 2 digits. Wait a second, 2 digits here, and then we're going to the seconds, and we change that to 2 digits. All right, and now we can go ahead, we close that so we see a little bit more, and then we adjust that for size. All right, like this, and like this, and this too. Oops. All right, so and we get all of that a little bit closer together. All right. Actually, let's make that 100%. Where is it? 100% here. Okay, properties. So now we'll really have a real close-up of it. And then if you go to the layout page here, you can actually adjust it for heights, like for position and size. So in that case here, let's go for a even number. So we want to have it on the y-axis on position 250. Enter, and then we'll do that. And then if we click through, we can actually go through there. 250, 250. I have a pretty good eye. They were almost all of them were like on the same height anyway. So now if we choose a correct size for it, let's say that is our reference here, the seconds, and we go into here because this is actually the size here, that's the size of it. So we see it has dimensions of 36 by 32, and we click through it here. Now we adjust that 36 by 32, and that one too. All right, and then this one is a little bit bigger because it has 3 digits, so that's okay. Now let's also add some columns in between. We click here on our toolbox. Okay, in case you don't see it, it's hidden behind that arrow here. Toolbox, and then we click on the A, that is actually for text, and then it will show you this little cross here, and then if you click it, there comes text, and then we hit column, click outside of it, click inside, so we can actually move it. And that's exactly where I want it. You can also like use your arrows to like adjust it a little bit better. And then I just click Control Copy, Control Paste, grab it and put it right there, and then Control Paste, and it will actually help me adjust that to the right position. Now I think this one is the most beautiful one. I go for the Y position, that's 251. I correct that to 250 because we have the other stuff corrected to that too. And then click through it, that's 250, and that is not, that's 257, and we go down to 250, and it actually is the same height now. Now that kind of looks weird. I don't want those like borders around those input output fields. So what I want to do is like I click on one of those, and then I go for appearance here in my property pages. And now like the background is white right now, but I want it to be the same color as the background of the panel. So that might be okay. And then also on my right side of the page, I see the border. In that case, it has a width of 4, and I want to get rid of it entirely. So now, that's still not the right color though. Let's go back and see the background color of it. Let's see for that one. That's also not it. Let's try this one. That's also not it. I want to get as close as possible to. That's also not it. Well, there's a trick. I just click in here and then see background color is 181, 182, 181. I just copy that. Oops. Copy. Go on that one, and then I say, oops. Paste it in here. Enter, and then it has the right background color, and I do that everywhere here. Oops. paste, paste, and here too. Alright, now I have the very same color everywhere, and if I get rid of the borders here too, border gone, border gone, border gone. Alright, so now I need some text here, because if it's just on there, I don't know what it is, so I go for the text again and say, oh, that's my counter operating hours. Then I can actually go there. All right, and then maybe we do something like an indicator that something is actually running. So let's just go for a circle. So put the circle in here. Let's give it a color of red. All right, and let's give it a little bit of text and say on/off, and move it a little bit over there so it looks better. All right, so now of course this will be red all the time unless we actually give it a an event. So we can click on that circle and say, okay, I actually want to have an animation on that. You can have two different types of animations. First of all, you can have a display animation, or you can have a movement animation. So of course, like on some screens, especially if you work with conveyors, you want to actually showcase that something is moving. We don't have that here, but it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea what's going on here. So the thing is this, we actually do want to create a little bit more code in our PLC program in order to attach that to that animation first. So let's go over here, click on visualization, and then go over to your PLC, and then actually create a new block. So add new block. Let's say it's a function block. Okay, this time we just use ladder diagram and say animation. Okay, and then let's call that block right away in the OB1 here. Let's say animation, call that block, let's say a single instance. Okay, and then open up that block. Oops. And now we're doing the following. Okay, we are doing something like oops, that was not what I wanted to do. So we're using something, and that will be a switch. All right, so basically, well, it's not really a switch, it's just that we use an indicator for a switch that we use later. So let's do this. Let's say if something is on, and I will store that something in our data block. Just create something here, and it's like switch, and it will not be a struct, it will be a bool. And then let's create something else that's not switch, but that's light. let's go back into animation, and then we say if switch, oops, no, it's in time data, if switch is true, then do animation time data, oh, light, I'm sorry, then do light. Okay, so now that is created. Now let's use the actual stuff in our function, but we create one more thing. So we go back into time data and we say impulse. Okay, it's a boolean also. Go back into animation, and then let's say normally open clock 2 Hertz, and then time data impulse. Now that time data impulse, copy it and then go back into the main OB1 and put, instead of the clock 2 Hertz, put that bit on there. Time data impulse. Okay, so now we will be able to go back to our root screen and then also put a switch on here. Okay, so when we pulled over all the data from the time data data block, when we just drag and drop it over here, okay, the TI automatically created a connection for us. So this time we will do it ourselves. We actually want to connect that switch to the switch bit in our code, so in our data block, right? So we go over there and go to properties here, okay, highlight the switch, go to properties, go to general, and then say, click on this one here and say add new tag. We call it switch, enter, and then we say the PLC tag of that. We can actually choose from here, open program blocks, open or click on time data and then say switch, check. Okay, now it automatically used the right connection. We have a new name, we have the PLC tag, the corresponding one, and we have a connection, and we have the PLC. Everything is connected. It's a boolean, that's also right. Say okay. So that is now connected, right? So that would be it, and then we go over to the circle, and then we go on to animation, and we want to create a new display animation. We say appearance, okay, and then it will ask you for a tag, and that tag will be our light. So we go over program blocks, we go in time data, and then we say light, check. That will be done. And now the only thing we have to do is, like, we actually have to create a range. So we want this animation to do something when this is actually true, and that would be a 1. And then the background color would be different, it would be green. Alright, so that is it. That is our appearance animation already. So now that we have created the outputs here, we named it, we named the circle, the lamp, if you want, so the light, and then we also created our switch and connected it to our actual bits. Now let's start a simulation. First of all, of course, we have to save, and then we have to start a simulation. Just make sure that when you start a simulation, you go in the you make it in the right order. So you highlight the PLC. We start our PLC sim first, then go on start simulation. Okay. We select direct at slot 1, X1, start search. If you open up that simulation first time, it will automatically choose the right simulation. But because I had mine open already, it will act like there's an actual PLC behind it. So start search. This one is selected, and then I say load. So it will load everything, all my new code into that. Load, finish, and then I put my simulation to run. It's running. Now I can minimize that, and then if I go in my project tree, let's minimize that here too, and I highlight my HMI, I go back on start simulation. Start the simulation. It's compiling now. Look in your lower right hand corner, so don't worry, it's not doing anything because it's still compiling. So now it started the actual simulation of that, and this here you can see, okay, it's already counting up. Okay, counter operating hours, seconds are counting up. We're close to a minute, so let's see if it just showcase everything correctly here. But wait a minute, why does it do that? Why does it count? We didn't switch it on yet. That would be on. Well, at least that animation is working. But why is it still counting even though... Oh, that's right. I made a mistake in the code. Let's minimize that one. Alright, let's go back into our code, in the animation code. Of course, it will just do this because we didn't put the switch in between. So now we actually have to do this. We only want this when clock 2 Hz is coming plus the switch is on. So let's say time data switch. Alright, and then just download, load. Let's go back into our simulation. Alright, so now it's on, and if I say off, it stops counting. Okay, so only if I switch it on, it's counting, and if I switch it off, it's not. Also, like our animation here, right now it's off, it's red. Switch it on and it goes green. So that basically concludes our HMI lesson here. Well, I hope you had fun and learned a lot. So don't forget to subscribe right here and then hit the bell to get a notification every time I upload a new video. I will be better on that, I promise. I will upload a bunch of new stuff anytime soon. Please also consider watching my Core of Success videos that I lately started uploading, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye bye.